Hello everyone, Aaron, we're live.
Sorry.
Don't sleep.
I was checking
Yeah,
my phone.
hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Łukasz, I'm a Mythical Games community manager, and I'm here with Aaron, who is our
Hi.
producer. So thank you so much for coming, thank you so much for all your kind words in the chat, that's always nice to hear. Hello everyone, thank you for following us. It's been a while since the last update.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it
been
was
quite a while.
I think it's been a month or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe even more. So there's been a lot going on. So maybe let's recap like what's going on at Aramite Games. Everything's good, by the way. It's not. We're not trying to convey any bad news. So we've been at GDC, so Game Developers Conference, in San Francisco. It was great. Michał, our lead designer and programmer, the only designer and programmer. I mean, there are more designers. Like everyone is a designer here at Aramite Games. But he had a talk. It was Against the Storm Postmortem. It's already available in the GDC Vault if you have access. Unfortunately, it's not for free. Maybe it will be in the future. If there will be, we'll of course share the link with you. So he basically recapped the whole story of Against the Storm. So hopefully we'll be able to share it in the future. We've met a lot of nice people. Many of you who've been there said many kind words about Against the Storm, said hi, approached us. That was very, very nice. I remember a couple of times walking down the street with our Against the Storm hoodies, and some people were like, "Oh yeah, I love your game." So if you're watching this, thank you so much. This means a lot.
Yeah, it's a core memory for us.
Yeah. It was cool. It was very nice. If you have a chance go to GDC, it was very nice. Okay, so we are here to talk about all the changes that are coming in update 1.3. We hope to release it tomorrow, so Tuesday, between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. UTC. I say we hope because we still don't have the build for Microsoft ready. I mean, it's ready, but it hasn't passed the certification yet. So hopefully everything will be ready by that time. So the main feature of this update, I'm not sure if we can differentiate one specific feature that is...
Yeah, so it's not the theme update right now, because in the past we had some themed updates where we took one big feature as the main feature of the update. In this update we have a lot of smaller, very cool UI improvements. We have some balance changes, some significant ones, and we have some new content. So it's more of a package of many different things. So the most exciting thing, I think, on the surface, is the new glade event, which is a new dangerous glade event you can find in your runs. It's River Kelpie, and Luke is showing it here right now. We're adding glade events periodically to the game because we want to increase the variance of different things you can encounter, to change things up in the game. So a new glade event might make your runs a bit different, and this one has some special effects in terms of mechanics, which were not present in the game previously. Like, for example, the first time in Against the Storm where we have something like a charm. So the working effect of the River Kelpie, it's a difficult word to pronounce, is that it charms your villagers, and they go back to the Hearth when they're charmed, and they rest there until the event is done, basically. And they are charmed every few minutes. So you basically have it's not a permanent penalty for you, like some events where they periodically kill people, but it's something that will hinder the moment you're solving the event, and then if you don't solve it, the consequence is basically something nasty happens and those villagers die. There is also some new type of reward for this event, which spawns basically Yeah, the geyser, rainwater geyser, and the other events and the other rewards are the typical amber and reputation points. So yeah, it's a dangerous event, so it doesn't appear in forbidden glades and only in dangerous glades, and I think yeah, it's another chance for us to show a bit of more of the fauna of against the storm of this world. We had a lot of fun designing this particular. I mean, designing and creating. Natalia had a pretty good time with making the model and designing the event. Damian had some.
We were laughing because Natalia has a horse, and so she made the whole model. I'm not sure if it was modeled after her horse or not, but at the same time, you could tell she had a great time.
But at the same time, animating it was difficult for Damian. I mean, in terms of horses are difficult to understand mechanically. So yeah, that's the main feature, the main like big content drop here. We're also adding, in terms of new content, some new cornerstones and perks to the game. Our main focus here was to add something that would slightly nudge you into the direction of playing a bit more corrupted playstyle. So I'm just looking at my notes here. For example, Mark of the Sealed Ones is a new cornerstone, which will spawn new villagers every time the Hearth during the storm triggers its Voice of the Sealed Ones effect. So for those of you who don't know, when your Hearth is being corrupted, it has like a meter above it, and during the storm, and once that meter reaches 100%, the Voice of the Sealed Ones triggers, which kills 3 villagers in a settlement. This perk somehow negates that process. I mean, the killing still happens, but some new villagers appear mysteriously in your settlement. And we are also adding some other additional effects here, like for example from the shop.
While we are still looking at Kelpie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I just wanted to add 2 things. That's while we are here. So this is a dangerous glade event, and it comes with the update comes with a new UX feature. We are now showing the dangerous and forbidden glade icons in the descriptions of perks and orders, so that it makes it easier to understand which glade you need to complete the order or to make the perk work. Also, you are able to see it now, or you could see it in a second before. Right now, you need to hold cancel to cancel the event.
Yeah.
So you won't do it by accident. You need to press and hold.
Yeah, there were basically like 2 things we wanted to solve, like with the event system as well. Like Luke mentioned, the holding to cancel, because sometimes you press investigate so quick you cancel it right away and don't remember that you did, or you, for whatever reason, you go into the event, you check out how the scouts are doing, and you click cancel by mistake. So now you have to hold to cancel an event. And the icons thing, it's weird, because in most cases when we describe something in the game on tooltips and so on, resources, we mention something, we always show some icons, but not for glades. And there was, for a long time, I think some players had the difficulty with understanding the difference between forbidden and dangerous glades and so on. So we just thought that's a quick and easy change. You made the icon bigger, more readable, and now I hope that there's going to be some less confusion with that. But going back to the cornerstones, because there's Ron asked a question that if 3 people have to die for that to trigger, it triggers on the Voice of the Sealed Ones trigger. So they normally they would die, but also there are ways like you could synergize that with, for example, saving your people for some goods. I don't remember the perk name right now, but it's designed in such a way that it doesn't trigger on death, it triggers on the 100% Hearth corruption, basically. And other than this one, there's also, I mistook the name previously, it's not Mark of the Sealed Ones, it's from the Shadows. Mark of the Sealed Ones is an effect that increases the time the rate of your sacrifices if the hearth is being corrupted by 50%. So basically, if you're sacrificing some goods in the hearth and the hearth is being corrupted, it's the sacrifice is more effective by 50%. And the last one, from the legendary ones, is the Blight Rot Pruner, which is basically 5x for every Blight Rot cysts that spawn in a settlement. So all of these perks are a bit in the nudging you in the direction of playing more recklessly, I think, or trying to experiment more with some corruption, Blight Rot cysts, and so on. Also, we have some balance changes in this update, which we'll describe, I think, later on, where we also try to nudge some effects more in that direction. It's not like we are hell bent on giving you this playstyle, but we think that this playstyle could use some more love from our side. So and this is the main bulk of the new content, but we have a lot of UX and UI features I think we can describe right now too, before we go into balance, and that will be pretty exciting, I think.
So maybe let's start with one that was already shown, but we've worked on it for a little longer. It's the tree marking tool. So aside from the basic one that you've already knew, we also are changing the precision tree marking tool. As you can see, it's even more visible than it was when we first shared the video of it. So when you now it also not only changes to cylindrical shape, it also has a huge arrow, and also it's grayed out when it's not on the tree above the tree. And what else? And it snaps to grid. So I think that's cool, and this should help mark or unmark all the trees. Sounds good. Yeah, it's a feature we I think is going to be useful in a lot of cases, and especially, for example, in the sealed forest maps. So because of the snap to the grid and because of this very big arrow, you can basically see the exact tree you're marking, even if you're in the midst of the forest. There's also one change we didn't mention here, is that as you can see in the marshlands, for example, the tree markings are a lot more visible right now, and that's you changed it, and that's because for a long time we had some issues with that the tree markings were pulsating. They were like changing the saturation and their brightness, and it wasn't really visible in most or in a lot of different biomes. So now we changed around the colors. We changed, for example, the colors of the trees in the marshlands. We changed the highlight color and the contrast, and now it should be pretty visible in all cases which trees are selected and which ones are not. That's a small change, but at the same time we had to take some time and test it around, test it, try to find the best solution so it doesn't look too ugly, but at the same time it's readable and so on. So we hope it's gonna be much more clearer now with the new tree marking tools. Cool. What else? Oh, this is a nice one. One of the more requested features on Upvote. Let's
look at it. We're increasing the zoom, the maximum zoom you can do, by
66%. Yeah. So that's 66% more than before. So before it was like 30 height units, now it's 50 height units. So it had to come with a lot of work on optimization. Yeah, we couldn't just let you zoom out further because this would
because there's so now a bit of trivia about the project and about Unity and so on. This suggestion was there on Upvote for a long time, and we always had it in the back of our minds, but it wasn't as easy as just increasing the zoom size or the maximum zoom distance, because the game has one very big technical problem, and it's not really a problem with the game itself, but with this type of game and so on. We have a lot of objects on screen. As you can see, there's like thousands of trees there. Not even the buildings, there's the trees. And that's a very big challenge to render, not because it's high fidelity graphics, but mostly because you have to do render passes for every object and so on. But with this update, we took some time. We changed around how we are grouping the objects on scene, and so now it should be easier on your computer. So first of all, you will notice if you have somewhat you don't have like an RTX 4090 or something, you will notice that the game runs smoother now in all cases, and just like is lighter on your PC. But at the same time, you can now, because of that change, we can now allow you to zoom out even further than in this. We hope that that's enough for most cities. If you build super wide, of course, you're gonna need some move the camera around. But in most cases, this should be more than enough to see the situation in your city and make decisions, see what is where, and so on. So that's the main, I think, the biggest feature from Upvote we did for this update. But also, speaking of Upvote, you can go to Upvote and list your own suggestions or vote on other people's suggestions. The best way to do it is basically go in game, and in the menu you can select the make a suggestion, I think that's called.
Yeah,
we can
show it.
Yeah. So here you have it, is feedback and request a feature, basically. So if you want, you can just go here and vote for other people's suggestions, post your own. We go there like every week or two, and we just like merge some recurring topics. We clean some stuff up, we give some tags, and we mark the things we've done as done.
Yep.
So moving on to other cool stuff. There was some smaller changes to UI as well happening with the update, or is there something I
No,
forgot?
go on.
Oh, okay. So there's like we talked about trees, we talked about zoom. There are some smaller things like we can show it right now in the game.
While we're at the never mind.
Oh, while you're at the
there's one feature from world map. Or even more, but
okay.
later.
No, right now,
okay.
Right now, abandon the game.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, there's one feature in the world map.
Another successful settlement.
Yeah. So if you hold Alt right now on the world map, you will see an overlay with seal indicators. So here you have it. Like in this case, it's not really useful because this is a bronze seal map. But if you have like the adamantine, titanium seals, they're far away. There's more of them than just two. Then it's going to be useful to like find your way around this world map. That was the feature we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So okay, let's jump into the game and show you some of the smaller changes in terms of UI. So for example, the first one, housing status. So right now here you can see. We have.
I have a video of it.
Oh,
maybe
nice!
Yeah, maybe
it's gonna be easier.
Shows a little bit more.
So, one of the things we wanted to do is show you how many housing spots you have available. But in a lot of the case, we tried to fit it somewhere on the hut. But in the end, we decided to give it just a tooltip for the homeless icon because it's a lot of information, and that's I think a good place to store it in. So now when you're hovering over this icon, you will see how many buildings, how many free spots you have for every type of house. So you will see homeless on top, then the shelter just below, and then the 3 species you have in your game listed below. So how many spots you have free in every one of those houses.
Also on the video you can see that we also reworked the tooltip for resources.
Yeah.
Aside from some smaller adjustments that Aaron will talk about just in a second, you can also now click on the resource icon, and it will open recipes panel with that resource name already typed in the search bar and with the results. It doesn't work for purging fire, and I need to add that because the blight post is a different type of building. So it doesn't really have recipes, so it doesn't appear in the recipe panel.
Yeah, the thing with the purging fire and recipes panel is something we want to add eventually, but it's more because our building system is we have like different types of buildings, and the recipe panel is now mostly only working for the workshop buildings, so the ones that convert one resource into another. The blight post is like a combined building of basically multiple functions. So we will have to take a look at that, and that's just a technical challenge that will take some days. But for now, we are deciding to do other stuff because we think it's more important.
Also, someone in the chat mentioned that I wish my settlements were as organized as that. Me too. I need to add that I was inspired by one screenshot from Steam community. It would be, I will link it in the update notes. I also linked it in the update preview, so you can go there and leave some Steam awards for the creator. I don't remember the name, but it's there. The link is there. I like to look at your designs for all the videos and screenshots, because I too cannot design in such a way.
All my cities look the same. I always build a grid and basically a road around every 1 to 4 buildings. So back to the resources. There is one thing also that Luke mentioned. So the first thing is, as we said, you can just now click on every resource here on top and go to the recipes panel. Here you can see if it's ingredient, product, see all. So it should be easier now to navigate through this menu here. That was one of the suggestions on Upvote as well. But you might also notice that the structure of the tooltip here itself is a bit different than previously. So it's a bit more readable right now. We separated the produced in from the top description to make more space for another change I'm gonna show you later on. So now it should be easier to see where this is produced, and the flavor description, the other description is on top. There's also one thing here you can see in this example. So it now says what species likes a given good. So every consumable in the game, which is tied to a species need, can now lists which species is using it, which is
consuming
basically
it,
consuming.
using it,
And here in blue you have lizards, because this is the species we have in town, and below is the produced in list. And so it should be easier now to decide when you're, for example, picking a building and you want to know what does what. No, that wasn't really. Oh, for example, here I'm looking at this one. Coats, humans, beavers, harpies. I don't have any of them, but I don't have anything that produces it. So it should make some stuff easier for you when trying to decide. Basically with resources and recipes and so on. I think that these are the most important changes to the recipes panel, to the resources. There is also a few other things, for example, in the options menu, that also ties into resources and recipes. So let me look for it. One thing that you can notice here is the show house entrances, which previously we had.
Oh no, that's not the one.
That's not the one. Previously we had this change that we disabled house entrances by default, because house entrances don't really matter in the game, but some players want to see them, so you can now enable it here. There's also where is it? Wait.
Gameplay main warehouse save main warehouse limits.
Yeah, that's it. So one issue we noticed, and people reported it to us, that you can set like a minimum reserve here. For example, I don't want them to use eggs for production, so I say, okay, let's keep 20 eggs in the warehouse at all times. It's not at all times, really. Here is the description of it. It's mostly for production purposes. If they're hungry, they're going to take it. If you have like an event and a click, it's going to be used for an event. But for production purposes, it's going to be locked in this menu here. So they're not going to use more than, they're not going to use your last 20 eggs, for example, to make pickled goods. But this is problematic in the sense that when you finish this game and you play another game, this setting will be remembered. So in another game, you'll like want to do some pickled goods again, and then you're wondering why are they not producing anything, and then you have to like make this whole big investigation and see that, oh, okay, it's here, it's locked. I mean, you can see the small icon here, the red padlock on the X icon, so it should be easier to spot, but at the same time you can just go here and just not save main warehouse limits. By default it's on, but you can just disable it, and that will change it for every other game you play. Every game basically will be a fresh start in terms of the warehouse limits. There's also one other thing I think, which is return goods to. Oh my god!
Too many checkboxes.
Gameplay options.
Yeah, we're too kind. I think it's auto return disabled ingredients.
Exactly. So if you have some, sorry about that. If you have, for example, some building like this, and let's say you want them to craft fabric from plant fiber, but then you decide, no, wait, I don't want them to use plant fiber. So I basically click this one. It's gonna disable this ingredient, and for example, I can select another ingredient. Then this ingredient will automatically be transported back to the warehouse, if this option, of course, is selected. So by default, they're not returning it. By default, they will keep it here in the ingredient storage if you select this one. But yeah, we'll. If you don't want this, you can always change that in the options menu.
We got a question.
Yeah.
Is there a way to set a default loadout and reset to that for the main warehouse? So, I mean, if you just set the limits that you want to be your default ones, then they will remain through the
they
game.
will be saved all the time if you don't have this checkbox ticked in the options.
But like, there's no way to save and load.
There are no like multiple loadouts. No, the same goes for the recipes panel. Here you can set, for example, the global limits of some recipes. It can be saved and loaded, also auto loaded in the options. But there are no like multiple loadouts and profiles to select in that menu as well. Okay, so we talked about the seal overlay. We talked about this recipes and entrances. Oh, so there's also a few smaller changes. Like for example, you might notice that I only have the lizard house here unlocked because we are hiding all the other houses basically for species that are not present in your settlement. That's because, you know, sometimes you build a human house by mistake, by force of habit, and then it turns out, I don't have humans in my game, why did I do that? So yeah, it's just a small change. Also this here, this menu on the bottom with the different perks and effects and so on, it's also now a bit better sorted in terms of where the effects are shown. They group together. You can see the tooltips because our faces are there. But yeah, it just should be a bit clearer now. And yeah, we talked about the icons. We talked about one bigger
status of workers going to take a break and going to activities.
Yeah, so this one here. There's now a separate icon when they are going not to do something. Oh, this is the one going to take a break, going to rest. So now and resting is with the small steam here, yeah. So it should be a bit clearer. The cancel button we also there's two more changes in UX I think we should talk about. It's if you have like any relic or event in the game which can be turned into a positive one, then we will state the exact positive effect on the description of the reward of the event. Previously it would say something like, for example, if you have a nest of termites, it would say something like, oh, you will get insects from it, but it wouldn't say how many insects exactly. Now it's gonna say exactly how many insects per minute and so on. on every event that can be turned into a positive decoration. And what else? Oh, here I can show you the tree marking tool, which is now a lot easier, especially in sealed forest. It's very useful to mark the bigger trees there.
If you go to encyclopedia
yeah,
for species, we now show the demanding attribute as a number.
and the decadent attribute as a number. So now, previously there was low, high, medium. Now you can see the exact numbers because demanding is basically how much resolve you have to reach in order to generate reputation, and decadent is by how much is the demanding attribute increasing for every point you earned, every reputation point you earned. Resilient is still described as a word because it's difficult to put into a number without a very big mathematical algorithm here. So it's gonna stay as a word for now, because resilience can change based on a lot of factors, and we just like to keep it as a general term here. If you get, I don't have, can I get a, no I can't. If you have a wild card, I'm not able to show it right now because I don't have a development build, I have a normal build, but a lot of players asked us to be able to search for a blueprint if they have a wild card based on the description, so the recipes and so on. So now it's possible. You don't need to search for the building name. You can search wildcards by the descriptions. I'm just looking at my notes again. Oh, and there's one last change I think I can show you in terms of UI. There's also a lot of smaller changes, like changing in wording and descriptions, making stuff clearer, and so on.
All those changes will be listed in our
Yeah.
update notes when the update goes live. We have around 120 changes, more than 120 changes,
Yeah.
and all of them will be listed in the update notes on Steam and on our website. You can always click on the Learn More button on the pop-up in-game with the update information, and you'll be redirected to the page with update notes. But also we share them on our Discord, Reddit, anywhere where we can. I think if you're not on our Discord, we invite you to join. There's a button in main menu of the game. If you click on it, you can join us on Discord. Us and all and many other great players. We try to stay in touch, but also I know that many of Discord members are very helpful. We have a new player channel where you can ask for advice. We have dedicated channels for discussing Queen Hand Trial, for discussing advanced strategies,
Dailies and memes.
Yeah,
everything.
And animals.
So the last thing in terms of UI and UX, and as Luke mentioned on the Discord, a lot of players are posting their suggestions as well, not only on the Upvote site, so we can post your suggestions there. A lot of the UI and UX changes, like the smaller ones, like changing the words in some perk and so on to make it more clear, are from the Discord basically. So we just go over the feedback. We don't reply to everything because we don't really have time to engage in a lot of discussion, but we have before every update we go through the list, we change some wording here and there, so there are a lot of smaller changes as well.
Let me just add, it's not only Discord, it's also Steam, Reddit, anywhere where you reach out to us. The in-game reporter, we get all the reports to our Discord channel. So when you send feedback, we get a nice notification that someone just posted a report. So there's a lot of ways you can reach out to us and share your ideas, share your feedback, reports.
And so to not babble on about UI and UX, to move on, we're just gonna tell you about the last bigger feature in terms of UI. It's the trade routes, basically. You can see red highlights on things that prevent you from sending a trade route. For example, I could sell those 7 planks, but I don't have the packs of provision. So, and now also, there was one thing in the previous version of the game. If you, for example, stack this, I don't have 14 planks, so I can't sell it. So it wouldn't be visible if I turned on show only available. But now it's taking the base amount, this one, to show the availability. So if you, for example, have something like ×5, you close it, you go back, it's still gonna show up as available because, you know, the base amount is available for you. So that should make your trade-off decisions a bit easier to make. And yeah, it should make you understand why something is not possible in that menu. So that's it, I think, for UI and UX. I'm just gonna check my notes again.
Yeah, I think that's.
There is some order
maybe
objectives.
Maybe one more. Oh no, I'm.
What are you doing? Luke is playing around with this stream.
Yeah.
Stream.
I didn't prepare well, but I have one. I'm gonna show you one more thing related to event objectives. So when you start a world map event, it has some requirements, and before update 1.3, when you failed the requirements, there was like no information what happened, why it happened. This was inspired by a Steam discussion, where or a Discord. I don't remember, but the right now when you start a world map event and you fail it or win it, whatever, you get nice information at the end. It's a separate tab from the score tab. You can still see the score, but you can also go to the objectives tab and see if you met the conditions.
Yeah,
and
so it's gonna list the objective, it's gonna list if you have reached the objective and if you won the game or did it in time.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's always gonna be there. In most games, you'll only be able, only the score tab will be available because that's in every game. But yeah, for players who play an event and, for example, are not sure why they didn't get the reward, for example, we'll now list you the exact result in the results screen. Yeah, and that's it in terms of UI. We can talk about
there are some smaller features, like
some
added new icons. We always add new icons.
Oh, this one, yeah. This is a bigger feature. We have some new icons, some new custom ones. I'm looking behind the camera because there are my notes. So the ghost events in the Scurserail Woodlands, the haunted ruins, some order objectives will get new custom icons.
Blight post
upgrades will get new custom icons, and I can even show them to you, or maybe not. Or let's show them. Let's give it a try. Can you please change my screen?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much. So now you can see the new icons here for the alchemical forge, for the triple ignition system, and so on. So, you know, with every update we add some new custom icons because we use some store-bought assets. That's the only place we use them. Because, you know, the game is changing very fast. We want this freedom of iteration. Adding a new perk, testing it out, if it's good, if it's not. It's easier to grab an icon from a pack we have bought. But recently, you know, as the game has become more mature, as the balance is less in flux than it was previously, we can slowly add new features and be more sure about them, and, you know, give them proper icons. So now a lot of things in the game have now proper icons, and there are a few more with this update. So now we can just smooth transition into balance because the blight post is here.
Okay.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I mean, could be better, but a segue is a segue.
Segue is a segue. So we changed some stuff around in terms of balance. The blight post upgrades. The one thing a significant thing that changed is the price. So as you can see, it's much lower than it was before. It doesn't have a choice in terms of the metal ingredient here, so pipes, parts, and so on, but it's lower than it was before, a lot lower. and it's grading. So for example, in level 1 costs less than level 2. The other thing here as well, we changed around some of the effects. So for example, this one, mobile spark casters now increase the speed even more than before. Triple ignition system now also works with blight automatons. Manned lookout now works differently than it worked before. It doesn't add a flat 25% bonus, it adds 10% bonus for every worker in this blight post, so a total of 30%. Alchemical Forge now gives 50% higher chance of producing twice the amount of purging fire instead of increasing the speed. And yeah, all of that a bit cheaper, and we hope that it's gonna be a bit, more attractive to use them, more interesting to use them. This is basically a boost to most of them. But that's one of the bigger changes here. But also with the balance, we changed around some stuff with perks and cornerstones. That was one big balance change as well. So we can change to something more generic, and I will just talk to you.
Okay. Also, how about, because there's a question. So the version that is going live is different from the 1.3 experimental. Yes.
Yeah, and in some sense it is different. Yeah. For example, the experimental version, I think, doesn't have all the changes. It doesn't have all the graphical changes. It doesn't have
there's
some
no
of
zoom
the
out. There's no Kelpie.
Yeah.
There's no the experimental version is missing a lot of features, and is also missing some changes that we made since then.
Yeah.
And to recap, because if you haven't followed all the news, we also had experimental branch updates to test the species hubs, and then another iteration of the hub system, and we're gonna talk about it in a second.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go through the blight post and the
Something
cornerstones.
generic. Yeah, let's show Kelpie.
So back to the question was also difference between the experimental. It's also different in terms of balance. Some numbers were tweaked. So the prices for the upgrades in the experimental were a bit too low, and we just increased them like by 1 or 2 items per level, I think, after some further testing. And in terms of, for example, cornerstones, the experimental version doesn't differ too much from what's going live tomorrow. So, cornerstones, I'm gonna list the most interesting ones here for you. For example, overexploitation was changed a lot. It previously was just an increase in how much you would get from different nodes, from newly discovered nodes. And now it's a bit different in terms that it also it still increases the amount of the newly discovered resource nodes, but it also now increases the gathering speed of all your gatherers in the settlement by 30%. But it has a small drawback. Every depleted resource node now spawns a blight rot cyst. It's also tying in a bit into this corruption-heavy playstyle. It might be too much, but we're gonna see in the balance. Might be interested in the future. Now, the previous version had a hostility drawback, which was, it was a small drawback, but at the same time, some players correctly noted that, why am I interested in taking a +10 charge bonus if I get more hostility? Like, just opening a small or big glade might be the same effect for me. I don't need that cornerstone. So we tried to play around with it, increase its effectiveness in some other areas like the speed, but also give it some more interesting drawbacks so that maybe you could synergize it with something. We'll see. And that's one of them. Alarm bells. Oh my god, I can't type. Alarm bells also changed. So previously this gave you a flat bonus to the production chance, the double yield chance, for if you had, for example, 150% corruption in your settlement. So this is this meter here. If you had 150% of it, then you would get a high bonus. We changed that a bit because this doesn't scale very well. If, for example, you increase your Hearth's resistance. And this percentage will decrease because now the maximum like limit of corruption is higher. So in terms of percentages, it's gonna be lower. So now it scales off of every 90 points of expected corruption. Now this might sound like a mouthful, but to be like completely honest, it's just this number here. Basically, how much per minute corruption you get during the storm. So on normal games, like to put it in the most basic terms, in normal games, when you have 1 cyst on everywhere in your city, this will be 60 a minute. So basically, every minute this will increase by 60. If on prestige games is 90. So basically, this comes down to every cyst on prestige games will gonna give you like 5% higher chance of producing double. This is still an effect that might turn out to be too strong, or might turn out to be still boring, because who knows. But we are interested in seeing how it plays out. There's also some smaller changes. For example, the trading perks were a bit overpowered, so we decided to nerf them a bit. For example, prosperous settlement. No, wait. Yeah, that's it. So this one gave you global resolve for every time you sold X amount of goods in terms of amber. But now it has a small drawback that scouts work slower on glade events. And this is one perk that shows our philosophy here. We don't really want to give you like a punishment for picking this perk, because that's not the point here. The main point is, with this balance pass, we want to naturally show that, for example, by specializing in trading and resolve, you are sacrificing some other part of your game. And that's the goal of most drawbacks in the game, or most like side effects of cornerstones. We don't really want to tell you, oh, you picked this powerful perk, let's give you a penalty for that. No, it's more like you naturally are specializing in one area of your settlement, so the other areas become weaker. And that's the exact list. I'm not gonna talk about every perk here, but the exact list of all the perk changes we're gonna publish tomorrow.
Yep.
And you can see for yourself how you like these changes. There are basically, we buffed some of them, the most underpowered perks, and we nerfed some of the overpowered perks. But you know, as I said, nerf is not always like a penalty. It's sometimes also like something that nerfs you in other areas of your playstyle, the least expected, for example. And yeah, let's move on to the biggest change, which is I'm just gonna accept some of the newcomers here. The Hearth changes. So we had an experimental, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and we tried to change the system more drastically than it is here in 1.3, and we decided on a balance change more or less in the final version. So tomorrow we're gonna see a small balance change to the Hearths. Previously you had +2 resolve for the first level, for a hub around the Hearth that was first level. And the second one was production speed and resistance, and the third one was critical chance and resistance. Now it's even, every single level gives you 1 point of resolve. So it's in total more resolve for one Hearth than before, but it's spread out across 3 levels. Now, when we were designing this, we came from a place of the Hearths are a bit too powerful, but at the same time they are a bit boring. We wanted to find some more uses for them and some better playstyles around them. But the most important thing we wanted to avoid was the housing micromanagement, basically. So because players felt compelled to like distribute their houses just to get the first level effect from every hub in their city, which wasn't really fun, because you know it's just micro. It's just like putting houses and populations in different spots in a game where you don't really control every single unit. You think mostly of the city as a collection of species.
Yeah, and we received a lot of reports
Yeah.
that were either make it easier to do this micro, or like try to remove it.
Yeah.
Like
most reports were basically about give us a slider to control population, but or make population control automatic. But that means that okay, so we just delete this one requirement from the hub upgrade. Basically, if you want it automatic, then it isn't really a requirement for the hubs. You're not thinking about it. It's not something that is even like a playstyle or a decision. It's basically automatic distribution. So it doesn't make sense. So we wanted to get rid of it completely. But in the end, we decided, we came up with a system of a new like species-specific hub system, where every hub would be a bit different, have different bonuses based on the species that live there. But that produced a lot of side challenges, like side design challenges, and it wasn't really working that well as we thought. So instead of going with that, we decided to go with this balance change I described earlier. And in the future, we might go back to this and think about some other ways we could change up this gameplay around hubs and building a storage, building a Hearth. But for now, we're leaving at that. It lessens a bit the micro, because every level gives you 1 point. At the same time, it makes the bonuses from Hearths less powerful, because they were a bit too powerful. The cost was too low for the +2 resolve. There are legendary cornerstones that give you 1 resolve and speed increases, and they are picked very often. So it needed adjustment.
Yeah. Why not thank everyone who tried the experimental version for sharing your thoughts, your reports, feedback. It helped us a lot. That's always very kind of you to download the experimental branch, do all the work, play the game, share your feedback. I guess not everyone is compelled to do that. So thank you for giving it a try and letting us know what you think.
It's an investment in terms of like your time. So thank you very much for trying it out and giving your feedback.
For playing, for streaming.
Other than that. Other than the cornerstones, the blight post, the hub. Sorry for turning my head to the left, but I have some notes here. We also changed some smaller things in terms of balance that might make the game just more interesting in terms of decisions and so on, and risks. Early cornerstone drafting got a small look at during this update. So now when the cornerstones the RNG of cornerstones is a bit biased towards if you're early game, late game, mid game. So we just adjusted that according to some older changes we had in the game, because we didn't take a look at it for some time.
I'm gonna change the screen to something else for now.
Just change it to anything that's interesting. We also rebalanced some forest mysteries. We buffed 1 forest mystery, forest offerings. It gave you 30 goods for every solved dangerous event during drizzle. Now it gives you 40, but at the same time leakage got a nerf, so it doesn't decrease your Hearth resistance by 200 during the storm, but now by 300. And untapped wealth is an interesting one. So you reported, quite a lot of players gave us some feedback that untapped wealth doesn't do anything, and that's true because there was a bug. We had a wrong description for the effect it was using, but that was basically because the intended use of it was it should give you a percentage increase in secondary yields every during drizzle from gathering and so on. But that doesn't make any sense, because there is a flat chance of getting 1 or 2 items per node when people are gathering. But if you increase the amount of goods by 20%, 1 plus 20% doesn't equal 1.2, because there is no fractions in the game, so it didn't do anything. Now it's basically a flat bonus. So every time your villagers bring back a secondary yield from the game, from a node, for example, they will bring back double. So if, for example, they bring back copper ore from clay, they will bring back 2 if this happens during drizzle and the untapped wealth modifier or force mystery is active. Other than that, Yeah, faction upgrades in the Queensland trial mode. They were spawning as a choice in the upgrading smoldering city in this mode late game, and that wasn't really fun because once you had like your fourth settlement, fifth, it really didn't matter. The factions weren't helping you because all your trade routes were basically with your own cities. So now this just basically disappears after a few cities. This upgrade doesn't appear anymore in the drafting. Other than that,
we added credits to the game.
Yeah. Finally.
I mean, finally for who? I'm not sure if anyone was waiting for that feature, but yeah, it was missing. Like there are now credits in the game.
It's not only like you can open them up in the menu. It's in the main menu. You will see a button that says credits.
Do we want to show it? Yeah, why not? I mean, you can do it from the main menu.
Yeah,
it's not really a spoiler or anything.
Yeah, so we can now see the credits, but it also serves a function because we put them in some places in the game where you think that you reach the milestone and you should see the credits basically. So now they still serve as a milestone to tell you, hey, you did a good job, you won the game, you don't have to continue, or you can if you want. So now you can see them from the menu and in certain places in the game after reaching some very good milestone. Yeah, I'm just not gonna show you all of them.
Yeah.
You will see for yourself.
I'm sorry for all the voice talents that we're about to show.
And all the other people down below. So yeah, all other balance changes we will talk about tomorrow in the changelog. There is also going to be a dev note that explains some of the things we did and why we did them. And yeah, I think that's it.
So there was a question: how do you skip? I think we added it for all videos.
Yeah, just by every cutscene in the game and just hold escape and it's gonna skip. Don't skip the credits. And yeah, that's it in terms of the bigger changes, I think. There's some smaller ones here. For example, the layout of the world map after your tutorial, so that's for new players basically, is now different. So at the time you finish the last tutorial and you first play the game, the first layout of modifiers and biomes will be different because the previous one was a bit boring and we wanted to show players a bit more interesting world map. There are some changes in terms of the Forsaken Altar, for example. The Forsaken Altar can now not be destroyed anymore. It can be moved, however. And the limit is basically one Forsaken Altar per game, so yeah. And I think that's it.
We're not gonna take any more of your time. It's already been an hour, I think. So just a reminder, the update is scheduled to go live tomorrow, but there might be a little delay as we're still waiting for the Microsoft certification. We'll hopefully we'll be able to release it on time, but things happen. So expect it between 1 p.m. UTC and 4 p.m. UTC. So that's in less than 24 hours. I think between 21 and 24 hours. So this time for Steam players, we also added an option to go to the branch for a week. So we added a version 1.2 branch. So for those of you who don't know, whenever we release a big update with big content changes, systemic changes, we need to close the settlement safe. Only the settlement, your meta progression remains intact, your world map progression remains intact, aside from the ongoing settlement. If you are in the middle of the settlement, the update needs to close it to avoid any potential game-breaking bugs, because when you're in the middle of the run and things change with the game, it can break. So we are, in such a case, the game is closing the city, but you are getting Citadel resources equal to as if you won the game, and you're also getting a royal resupply. So that's a very nice bonus. The settlement is treated as if you didn't even started it. I think the only downside is that if you start a world map event, it doesn't reappear.
Yeah, the world map event will
But
disappear.
this time we added a Steam branch with version 1.2. So if you're in the middle of a very important game, like you're doing some super important deed, or I don't know, you're almost winning the ancient seal, you won't find the time to finish the settlement before update goes live tomorrow. What you can do is you can switch branch. You can also do it after the update, but before launching the 1.3 version. So what you can do is there will be an instruction in update notes. There's also instruction in the announcement on Steam. What you basically do is switch branch to you will be still playing version 1.2 on the branch, finish the settlement, go back to the main version, the game updates to 1.3, and you can continue as if nothing happened. So but this is a bit complicated. We don't really recommend it unless you really need to. Like the easiest way is to just finish the settlement, maybe have a evening off, watch Fallout. It's quite good.
Yeah.
I really like it, and return to the game tomorrow after the update, and everything will be all right. But there's an option. You can switch branch and then go back. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it.
Any last question and we're off.
Yeah, right. Because I also mentioned we can do Q&A. So if you have any questions for us, let us know.
And
what we can say right now is, Telhurin. So this is our designer, programmer disguised. He's asking in chat when water content. I don't know. Like you tell us.
It depends entirely on you.
Exactly. But while you're typing your questions or not, let's talk about future. What's happening right now besides update 1.3 is that we're working on a DLC.
Yes.
As we announced, it's gonna have a new species. We don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, no idea.
No idea.
New biome.
No idea.
New buildings, of course, because when there's new species, we are also getting new buildings, new perks, new events, new orders, everything that comes with new species.
Yeah.
So this is what we're working on right now. To be super frank, it's not it's not going like super fast. It's not almost ready. It's in progress. It's because we were working on updates before. We had to prepare for the GDC talk, so the work on the DLCs is progressing slower than maybe some of you might have expected. But yeah, works in progress, and we're gonna deliver it this year.
Yeah, it's that's a good time
this
frame.
year.
This year,
saying this in April, but yeah.
No, it's as Luke said, we've been working on some behind the scenes stuff. In this update, for example, we are we focused a bit on performance just to make room for new assets in the game and so on. Telhurin, who is in chat right now and should be working on refactoring the villager behavior, is also working on villager behavior because there's some older task we have to get in order before we are ready to add some bigger changes to the game. But after 1.3, after some probably hotfix or two, if because there's always something to fix after an update, we are all hands on deck when it comes to DLC, and that's the main thing that's gonna release in the near TM future. And yeah, then we'll announce more stuff in the future and tell you more about our future plans. Future.
Yeah. Can you move altar at least?
Yeah, sure. You have to pay bricks for it, but yeah.
Okay.
I hear Telhurin laugh
Yeah.
in the office. Okay, so
That's it.
that's it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for always being so supportive, being there on Discord, Steam, Reddit, sharing your thoughts, comments. It helps a lot. Thank you for supporting us. I think the game is on sale right now. So
Yeah,
if
it is.
you don't own it yet and you liked what you've seen, you can get it. It's going to last for a couple more days. If you have friends who you think would like it, you can let them know that there's now a good time to get it. One more question: is there any merch coming? Right now, not.
Not for
But
now.
maybe in the future, we'll see.
We want to do that, but we don't want to just make merch for the sake of merch. We want to do something special.
Yeah, so later everyone, thank you for joining us today. See you tomorrow
Thank
when
you.
the update goes live, and have a great time with Against the Storm. Right now we're gonna raid Run Empire for some more Against the Storm content.
Yeah.
See you everyone, bye bye.
Bye.